Hey WordNerds, Latimer here. So today I want to talk a little bit about book reviews and should professional writers write them. Now my question isn't necessarily should writers write reviews at all, but should writers write negative reviews? You'll notice that most professional writers simply don't. And that is really a matter of business. It's very possible that, say, I, as a professional writer, sit down, I didn't like a book, I'm going to go on Goodreads, I'm going to give it 1 star, I'm going to do a really scathing review, put in some funny GIFs and slap it up there, and hey, guess what? I meet that same writer at a panel 3 weeks later. That makes for a very awkward situation because you can bet if my review is really scathing and really popular, as often really scathingly funny reviews get, that writer's going to remember me. Even if they don't know who I am, or even if they stay off Goodreads and didn't read the review, I'm going to know that I wrote that review about them, and I'm going to wonder the entire time if they know me and hate me. It can also really affect who's willing to blurb you when your book is actually released. There was I think it was all the way back in 2014, a very popular big name author wrote a very angry blog post about how a reviewer on Goodreads had written this scathing, funny review. It got really popular, and it was apparently very offensive to this big name author, and later she was asked to review and blurb this author's book. And she not only turned it down, but did a big angry blog post saying, "This is why I turned it down," kind of a finger-pointing ha thing. Does that mean you should never do a negative book review? I don't necessarily believe this. I think particularly in the case of books that we find problematic, it's actually important to start a dialogue and a discussion about it in the public sphere, not only so that people can be talking about it and figuring out what's problematic so that writers don't repeat it later, but also to warn people away that might be hurt by these books. I think it sets a dangerous precedent to tell authors, don't you dare negatively review any books in case the author comes after you, especially if there's an objection you have to a certain book because of a problematic aspect. I think it is important to go into a negative review knowing the full implications and possible results of that. And as long as you're okay with that, then go for it. I personally don't do negative reviews at all, and one of the reasons is because of all of the things I was talking about earlier. I am a very awkward person already in general when I meet new people, and I can only imagine knowing that I had reviewed somebody in a really scathing, awful fashion and then meeting them later at a conference. I just wouldn't be able to function like a normal human being. Mostly why I don't do negative reviews is because I really do subscribe to the idea that there is just no time in life to sit down and push through bad books. I used to be the type of person that would read an entire book cover to cover, even if I hated it, even if it took me ages and ages to finish it, just because I wanted to be able to read the end. I don't do that anymore. I don't have time to do that, and I don't think you should do it either. The idea behind reading is enjoyment, right? And if we're sitting down and we're pushing through these terrible books in order to review them negatively online, it feels just kind of like it's sucking the joy out of reading. Again, I want to state really clearly that this is different if it has a problematic aspect and you want to warn your friends and the general public about it. Hey, this could hurt you, this could be triggering. I think that's great. I have seen people push through these books just so they can give a blow-by-blow online of the problematic aspects of a book, and that's a very, very different situation and not what I'm talking about right now. So that's a whole different video. But I think if you're not getting any enjoyment out of a book and you aren't sure if you want to do a negative review or not, don't bother finishing the book, move on to something good. What about you guys? Do you think that authors should do negative book reviews or not? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, the WordNerds have our live chats on Sundays, and we would love to see you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. What about you guys? Do you think otters should never do negative book reviews? They're too cute.